Alright, good. And we're live. That's better. More mood lighting. Yeah, focus is just fine. Alright, cool. Do we have a playlist? We do. Look at that. Look at that. I'm a professional. I'm a professional. More than I thought. Anyway, here we are, back live again at the Libservative. What's up, Fox? Bright and early. We haven't even been live for 60 seconds yet, and you're here. Shout out to you. Yeah, have not been live on this channel in way too long. I need to make at least a weekly stream on this channel. I think three days a week on the Star Bazaar, and then 1 day a week on this channel, just to kind of sum up, you know, what went on this week. I think that would be kind of cool, actually. I feel like I could cultivate a bit of a cult following, like a news roundup, you know? What crazy shit happened in Hello World this week? We could do it every Sunday. It'll be like church service. I'm into that. Get like a pastor set up and everything. That'd be fun. Anyway, I need to go onto YouTube. I should have done this before going live. But I need to find some videos to pull up so we can react to some stuff. I know there's some Shoe on Head content that I still need to finish watching. I think I missed the last 2 or 3 videos of hers, so we'll definitely watch some Shoe. So that'll be nice and easy, and her videos are nice and long, so we'll have a good time with that. At church? Who needs church when you have a star? Precisely. 3 days in the bazaar and a day in the Servative? Perfect, yeah. I think so too. And I can space it out nice and evenly too, because if I do the Libservative stream on Sunday to recap everything that happened from Monday up until Sunday, or maybe even the Sunday from last week, I don't know how I'll do it yet. I'll figure it out, but I think that'd be a nice streaming schedule between the 2 channels. Yeah, Shoe on Head, some other videos in that political test. Yes, the political test. Did you send that to the Discord? I don't know how far up it is. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. If you could just link it to me one more time, I will take it on screen in real time. I have a really good idea of where I'm going to end up, but I can't be sure. I'm excited. I want to see where I end up. I think I know. I'll have to look at the quadrant to see like how everything is aligned. You know, obviously you've got left and right, liberal, conservative, but then you've also got the up and down, like authoritarian. What's the other one? There's authoritarian and then anarchist. I think it's anarchy. Hey, what up, Soggy? Yeah, I know for a fact I'm gonna fall into like the more on the left towards the anarchy side. Maybe it's libertarian. I don't know. Anarchy's kind of extreme, you know. It's attached to the relinked text. It has 8 things. Cool. I'll pull that up on the Discord, and I'll get that ready, because I still have to pull up the videos. I want to pull up several tabs and just have them ready to go, and just boom, boom, boom. We'll just rapid fire with the reactions. Anarchy. You know, you landed 80% anarchist. Really? On that test? That's kind of cool, actually. I've never known an actual anarchist in person, like a full-on anarchist, you know. I've followed some ANCAP content, some anarcho-capitalist content, and there was some pretty interesting perspectives there. It was mostly Young Ripa. He's... Wow, why am I drawing a blank on the guy's name? Young Ripa is his YouTube channel, but he's also the frontman of a metal band, which is actually how I found him, and then I later found out that he does political content on YouTube, and I thought, yo, that is cool. Yeah, what's up, Marshall? How's it going, dude? Yeah, we got Fox in here, we got Marshall in here, we got the Soggy Donut in here. Cool, yeah, I think it's going to be a good stream. Let me pull up these videos, and then we can just jump into the reactions. I'm just hanging out, you know, I'm just going to be riffing off the cuff and hanging out with you guys. There's no rules, except the rules that come with YouTube terms of service when it comes to this channel. I can be a lot more, you know, free-flowy and open, and I don't feel as restricted. When I stream on the Star Bazaar, I feel really restricted. Like, there's certain things that I can't say, but on this channel, I say, fuck it, we ball. Fuck it, we ball, bro. Oh yeah, see, there's perfect. That's I'm actually on the wrong Google account. But I pulled up YouTube and bing bing, first thing I see, Blair White. All right, we got, yeah, I pulled up on the Star Bazaar Google account. So this is the shoe video that I missed. Let me cue this up real quick. I think the scene is still on my face. Hold on, let me change
what
this real
happened?
quick.
Well,
yes, we hear it. We hear it. No rules. So chat, you like saying slurs? No, nothing like that. Still must fall under YouTube terms of service. Lest my channel get banned. Screen capture. I should have set this up before. I was super hasty to start streaming today. You're about to get grounded because you're failing you as if school wasn't fucked up enough. Why are you failing? Is it just a hard class, or you're not turning in your homework? I used to be really bad at turning in homework, dude. If I ever failed anything, it was because I just had a shit homework grade. And the way my high school's, I remember, because the way my high school's curriculum was set up, the homework was a huge part of it. So I passed as like a C+ average student, not because I was dumb, but just because I hated doing homework. I never turned it in, and my homework part of the grade was just abysmally low. Dismal. And it just dragged my whole grade down. Teachers lying and telling your parents you're not turning in work. Hey, that sucks, bro. Tell them to get bet. No, don't do that. Don't take advice from YouTubers. Why is this not showing up for me? Oh, there we go. Exit full screen. I need to make sure that the audio is going to come through. Here, let me just play it for a second.
So, what happened?
Check.
Well, a few weeks ago, our government had a "That's so Raven"
too
premonition.
loud. I'm
they
not
had
loud
a vision,
enough.
and they saw into the future.
Right,
they saw that
uneven.
Iran was going to attack Israel. So we went ahead and...
Alright. So this is a shoe video that dropped 3 days ago. The Iran war situation is crazy. We're going to watch it. We're going to react to it. And we're going to have some fun.
So, what happened? Well, a few weeks ago, our government had a "That's so Raven" premonition. They had a vision, and they saw into the future. They saw that Iran was going to attack Israel. So we went ahead and attacked Iran. Now we're in some bullshit war. No, I am not joking. That's basically what happened. Despite the Pentagon saying there was no proof Iran was going to attack, it came to us in a dream. Source? We made it the fuck up. Now, there are many reasons floating around for this war. Israel, China, Russia, oil, Iran being 2 weeks away from having a nuclear bomb for the past 40 years, bringing democracy to Iran, and many other things, and we can discuss those things.
I just got a wild
Maybe
message from my girl.
all those things at the same time. But there is one thing I feel is just not getting enough attention. And that is the many people in our government who believe in a literal doomsday prophecy about this war, and are possibly pushing our president to take the necessary steps to make it happen. No, I am not joking. No, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is not the Candace Owens channel. This is a real thing, and we gotta talk about it. Now, I know I keep saying the next video is going to be a slop video. I know, I'm sorry, but things just keep happening. But that's okay, it will be over quick, and then we can get to the more important issues, like making fun of women on TikTok. Yeah, my favorite pastime. Taco, you can tell her yourself. She will be in the stream shortly. Yeah, I was just texting her. She's... Oh, is that why... That's why you're saying tell her hi. Yeah, she'll be in here shortly. Yeah, you suck at turning in homework, but you still know the information, so you still do good on tests. Exactly. Like, that was the exact same story with me. I knew the material, I just didn't do my homework. That was the only reason I had a bad grade. So in this video, we will talk about this f***ass war. We will discuss the strange characters who are encouraging it, the doomsday cult they belong to, and I will crash out a little bit. Cool. Okay.
My favorite.
A lot of it. The Iran war is an extremely hot topic that affects literally everything, from the stock market to gas prices to possible World War III.
Gas out here is over $6 a gallon in some places. Diesel hit like $7.30 some odd cents at one gas station that I passed the other day. It's out of control right now.
It feels like I wake up every morning and like 5 major historical events have happened while I was sleeping overnight. So it's pretty hard to keep up with the news.
Thanks, Trump.
Lately. And that's why for 5 years now, I have been using today's sponsor, Ground News. So let's quickly give them a shout out before we get into this video, shall we? Ground News is a website and an app that gives readers a fun, easy, and transparent way to read the news from all across the political spectrum, from left, right, and center. Every story comes with a quick...
That's expensive as hell. Never in your life have you been that glad to not have a driver's license. You know, it's really expensive, yeah. As somebody who currently does not have a car, I miss it. I have my license. I can drive. I've been driving Doll's car when I need to, but I miss having a vehicle that I can just get in and go wherever I want, whenever I want.
Visual breakdown.
Just that level of freedom is so nice. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, looking at gas prices right now, you're like, oh my God. This used to be 90 cents in the 90s.
Down of political bias that helps you understand the full story and really make sure you're seeing both sides. It even tells you who these outlets are owned by, which is really cool.
Diesel is $3.78 for you? Bro, where do you live? That is crazy. It's approaching $8. It's approaching $8 out here.
Easy to compare headlines to see how political bias can really affect the framing of a story. For example, this story about how Trump says he's postponing strikes on Iran power plants. A right-wing outlet covered it like, oil goes down and the stock exchanges go back up to the green after Donald Trump talks about Iran.
Victory.
And a left-wing outlet covered it like, surprise, Trump tacoed out of his plan to obliterate Iranian power plants. As you can see, very different vibes here. One of my favorite features on Ground News has to be the blind spot feature, which shows you news stories that have been covered by one side of the political spectrum and ignored by the other. For example, here's a story about how Trump is still more popular than Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom, despite everything that's going on. But they're still going to run them in 2028, aren't they? 29 sources covered this, 70% of them were right-wing, and only 15%.
The Democrats shit the bed so bad by screwing Bernie Sanders over.
% were left-wing.
I'm gonna remind the world of that as often as I can.
Probably because it's a little embarrassing. I have been using Ground News for years now. It is one of the first apps I look at when I wake up in the morning. But don't just take my word for it. Even the Nobel Peace Center called it an excellent way to stay informed, avoid echo chambers, and expand your worldview. Best of all, I am currently offering 40% off their Vantage plan, which is the plan I use to get all of their amazing features. So go to ground.news/shoe, that's ground.news/shoe, or use the QR code right here on screen,
40%
or the
off.
link in the video description.
Crazy.
I think what they're doing is really important, especially right now. I feel like we need to see the news in a more transparent and balanced way. It is just a really great app, and I recommend it. So thank you, Ground News, for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad, as always.
Hey, no problem.
Right?
Not trying to get cut.
Now, let's get back to the video.
I'm not trying to get stabbed in my sleep.
Happy day 24 of the special 2-week military operation, everybody. We did it! Mission accomplished. I feel like every day I wake up and Trump is like, we won. And then something else blows up. And then again, he's like, we won. And then we're back at war, but it's not a war. But we won the war. Hey, maybe it will be over by the time this video uploads, because apparently Iran wants to talk to J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is apparently the peacemaker here. Imagine the Iran war. Imagine possible World War III even.
How's the audio levels? Is my voice too quiet compared to the video? Is the video too quiet compared to my voice? Give me some feedbacksicles, because I looked at the waveform in my software and they looked pretty even, but I know it doesn't always come out how it looks.
In the hands of a shoe-on head. We're all gonna die. People, word for word, bar for bar, repeating the NPC talking points that we heard during the Iraq War. This Middle Eastern country is building weapons of mass destruction.
The background music is a little bit jarring. I got you. I actually thought about that when I put my song on and I stepped away to make coffee. I forgot I had my lo-fi playlist still going on. And I was hoping that it wasn't interfering with the song, but there we go. That should be a little bit better.
They hate America. We're gonna bring them democracy. It's all the same shit. It's all the same people pushing for this shit. Only this time we have social media, and we are seeing war propaganda from all sides being debunked right in front of our eyes. Social media has like truly been the worst thing that has ever happened to the government. Imagine like getting away with decades and decades of propaganda now being debunked in real time by people called like pee poo poo 69.
Yeah.
Brutal. Sorry, I have to like white balance my camera. I'm using... It's story time! I'm gonna be the new Miss Rachel. Today's number is 7, and we're gonna talk about Tower 7! Anyway, I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, I hope Iran wins. That's like, I saw people saying that, like, that is psychotic. I don't want to go down with the USS Great Satan, you know what I mean? Like, if we're in a war, I want to win the war. I just don't understand why there has to be a war. We know regime change doesn't work. We've tried this already. It never works. We always make shit worse. We're not the world police. There are so many people all over the world suffering, but our priority as America is to take care of Americans. And
this is why I really wanted Tulsi Gabbard to win in 2020. Her entire presidential platform and her campaign was all about non-intervention in foreign nations. Her entire thing was take care of America before we start, you know, having dealings with other countries like that. And it was a commitment to no more unnecessary wars, and that was a huge thing for me. She also got shafted in 2020 alongside Bernie.
The American people are suffering, and now we're asking for $200 billion for war. $200 billion. Notice nobody's like, who's gonna pay for that when it's shit like war, but when it's for your mom's diabetes medication, it's please.
I'll buy a lot of Scooby snacks.
Yourselves up by your bootstraps.
Pull them up.
$200 billion while American situations have not gotten any better. In fact, they're just going to get worse now. Everything is going to get more expensive, but that's okay, apparently. That's okay. That's not a concern.
The U.S. economy is fundamentally sound, and that if it were to be extended, it wouldn't really disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about, you know, if that continued, what we would have to do about that. But that's like really the last of our concerns right now.
Tower 7 is crazy. Yeah. No. We always got to bring up Tower 7 when talking about 9/11 too. Isolationism is the best policy, in your opinion? Yeah, I don't know about isolationism necessarily, like cutting off the entire rest of the world and just being self-sufficient. I guess if you can pull it off, like if you could become so technologically advanced where you are literally Wakanda and you can just cut yourself off from the world and be entirely self-run like that, maybe, I guess, but, you know, you would have to hide, basically. You would literally be Wakanda at that point. Tulsi's platform was more non-intervention. It was just not sticking our nose where it doesn't belong, basically. And that really resonated with me. It was a recognition of there's a lot of shit that we need to fix here at home first before even thinking about, you know, having military operations overseas for no reason. So let's take care of us was basically her message, and I'm like, bet, let's go.
Consumers, that's what we are to these people. Just good little obedient bug people, gonna go see a Marvel movie, maybe buy a Labubu, eat a little Dubai chocolate. We have no soul, no love.
Do y'all have a Labubu? I never got into that trend, but I know it was popular for a little bit. I saw a graph of the Labubu stock and like what it was valued at, and apparently it was like super high, and then it just crashed. I guess the trend came and went, but
Nope.
They're an interesting little thing, little plush guy. Cause remember Beanie Babies? I know 90s kids will remember Beanie Babies. There's always that one plush thing, like either Beanie Babies or Furbies or whatever it is, you know. They come and go in waves.
Families to take care of. We are just consumed, and when we can't take care of those families. You know what their solution is? What's their solution? Take fewer trips to Starbucks.
Yeah. A Labubu, it's a little plush collectible toy. It basically is just like Beanie Babies or Furbies or anything else, you know. It's just a collectible. I saw some really fun conspiracy theories about them because the name Labubu is very close to the name Pazuzu, which is the demon from The Exorcist. And they were talking about how Labubu is, you know, it's gonna reign in the Antichrist, and it's like this is the demon manifest. There were just a lot of really fun conspiracy theories. That might be a fun rabbit hole to go down, actually. Checking out the Labubu demon. That sounds fun. We'll do that after Shu.
If I say what I am thinking, I will be banned off YouTube, so I will simply be silent. Gas is gonna be like $1 billion, but that's okay, guys.
Yeah, I got you,
Short-term
Fox.
pain, long-term gain.
This is a short-term disruption for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain for the long-term gain.
Short-term pain be for long-term gain.
We're going to have some short-term pain with long-term gain.
Short-term pay for a long-term gain.
Some short-term
wow.
pain, yes, but we've got some long-term gain.
Short-term pain for American consumers.
Short-term is highly outweighed of the long-term benefit.
Some short-term pain for the long-term gain.
What in the NPCS is this?
Yeah, say it enough times and it'll become true, I guess. That's, by the way, that's propaganda in real time.
It is your patriotic American duty to unplug the TVs in your parents' and grandparents' house right now. Destroy their satellite dishes. Log them out of Facebook. It is up to us to stop the boomers from sending the Zoomers to another war in the Middle East. The amount of people who were anti-regime change war, like last Thursday, who have completely 180'd is fucking insane. I literally have no theory of mind for being that hyper partisan brained. Like, a lot of these people are just like totally for this now because it's Trump doing it. Some of you are cattle. Some of you are weak. You are submissive and breedable. The only politician I simp for is Huey Long, and that's because he's dead and can't disappoint me. The worst part about this whole war thing is not the death and destruction and possible economic collapse and nuclear fallout, but the fact that it's good for the
Short-term pain,
Democrats. They will
long-term
probably
gain, baby.
win midterms, and if things get worse, they will probably win 2028 too. Without learning any lesson, without changing at all, they will literally run on Orange Man bad and win. I am tired of politics. I am tired of voting. Take away the 19th Amendment. I don't want it. I don't want it. You can. The men can have it. The men can deal with it. I'm done. I'm tired of voting for pee-pee or poo-poo and always getting diarrhea. I'm done.
Right.
The end. End of video.
No, it's not.
Sorry. Mommy's not mad. She's just disappointed. Anyway, like I said, there are many stated reasons behind this war. One of the things people blame this war on a lot is Israel. Many people believe that Iran was not an immediate threat to us, and that this is just another conflict that Israel is dragging us into, making us fight their war for them. Because of this and everything that's happened in Gaza, Israel's PR is in the toilet. Polls.
You think there needs to be a balance between being super nosy in other countries and completely shutting out the whole rest of the world? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to know what other countries are doing, but, you know, my idea of nosy usually involves some kind of interference that negatively impacts the country in question, and we have a tendency to do that, we being the United States, and when we do that, we tend to make enemies out of those countries. Case in point, the Middle East. You know, we went in there, you know, decades ago. We've messed up so many nations like Libya, Syria. You know, we had the war on terror in the Middle East for over 20 years. It took us that long to get our troops out for a war that, you know, they tried to convince us that there were weapons of mass destruction over there. Those weapons were never found, and it was they put us under a literal surveillance state. I mean, the NSA got immense power back in 2001. When they enacted the Patriot Act, which let them literally surveil American citizens. Like, it was a huge breach of privacy, and in my opinion, a direct violation of a lot of Americans' rights. And they did it in the name of security. They did it in the name of, you know, oh, there's terrorists, and, you know, there's this war on terror. We have to defeat the Middle East. We finally had a bad guy, and it's just, we do this all the time. We go into other countries, we fuck up their shit, they end up hating us, and then it just becomes this never-ending cycle. I just want us to stay out of other people's business. I want us to take care of our own business. And like Fox said, like trade and, you know, economy and all that, that's great. We should have positive relations with other countries. If we have something that they need and vice versa, we should work with them. But we shouldn't be going into other places and destroying it needlessly. And that's just kind of what we do, unfortunately.
They're showing Israel is becoming extremely unpopular, especially with young people. It's getting so bad that the Israeli government literally had to pay internet influencers to say good things about them. No, I'm not kidding. This is a real thing that happened. It was filed with the US Department of Justice. They undisclosed paid a bunch of YouTubers, TikTokers, Twitter personalities to run defense for them last year, and they are most likely still doing that today. Imagine losing the internet PR war to 20-year-olds with anime avatars making TikTok edits of Jeffrey Epstein and Agartha.
Yeah.
And listen, I know many people are tired of everybody blaming Israel for everything. Like, oh, I stubbed my toe this morning, it was Israel. They associate criticism of Israel with people like Hassan Piker or Candace Owens. They are just tired, and I get it. Hopefully I can bring some nuance into this discussion. Not everything is Israel's fault, but when it comes to the Middle East in particular, when it comes to American foreign policy, Israel is extremely relevant. This is a historical fact, and if we are going to be attached to the hip to this country, we should absolutely be allowed to talk about it without a bitch in our ear calling it anti-Semitism. It is 2026. We are done with the thought-terminating buzzwords. We are done with the ists and the isms. These don't work anymore. It's not racist to criticize Black Lives Matter. It's not sexist to criticize feminism. It is not anti-Semitic to criticize a foreign country. And frankly, in my opinion, the worst thing you can do for Jewish people right now is conflate the nation of Israel with Jewish people as a whole. Like, what are you doing? Oh, you don't want the world to end in some kind of nuclear holocaust? What are you? An anti-Semite? It's like when there's legislation to give pedophiles the death penalty and people come out like, this is transphobic. It's like,
yeah, what?
What do you mean by that? It's good to question mainstream narratives. That's why this entire channel was created in the first place. We are here to criticize the media and the government that has a history of lying to us, especially on topics like this. If you don't think that's totally valid and normal, and you think I'm an anti-Semite for this, well, I have been called racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic for the past 15 years. Honestly, what is one more to add to the list? When this all initially popped off, one of my first tweets about this was this. Many people were confused as to exactly what I was talking about, so let me explain it simply. There are people in our government right now who believe in a biblical prophecy about Israel. Pete Hegseth, Lindsey Graham, Mike Pompeo, Ted Cruz, Mike Johnson, Mike Huckabee, and many, many others believe a massive war surrounding the Middle East will bring Jesus Christ back. They want this. To them, this is the good ending. We'll all be saved. Great. Awesome. Unfortunately, many Americans and many people all around the world will die in a giant nuclear war. Not great. Bad, even. This particular religion is called dispensationalism, a type of evangelical Christianity that became popular in the 20th century. That's right, today we are talking about the EQ, the evangelical question. Evangelicals are one of the largest religious groups in America, and they are a huge, important voter bloc. Important detail to remember. What you have to understand is evangelical Christianity is absolutely fucking obsessed with the end times. This isn't just like an offhand thing that's mentioned in the Bible and they bring up sometimes. No, this is like their whole fucking thing. It's like all their talks, their sermons, their books. Basically, they are extremely horny for the end of the world. And many of those people are in the president's ear right now.
Strike and 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 strike. For angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda ata ata raka teda baka sanda ata ambo osa tata rite eke banda ata rike.
That schizo is Paula White Cain, Trump's current spiritual advisor. Like,
all I could think of was Beavis, when he takes a lot of drugs and he becomes his alter ego Cornholio and just starts going ballistic. That's just what popped in
Most
my head.
evangelicals, she considers Israel her spiritual home, thinks Christians should be mandated to go to Israel in order to go to heaven, and believes that backing Israel is a biblical mandate. Now, what the f am I talking about? What do these people mean by biblical mandate? Well, thanks to the Scofield Bible, a version of the Bible that placed little, like, notes next to everything that explained the biblical text, evangelicals believe it is their duty to protect Israel. You're probably thinking, like, okay, so what? Like, we have overlapping interests with Israel. Who cares if these evangelicals want to protect Israel, right? Well, there's a little more to it. Basically, the evangelical dispensationalist belief goes like this. Step 1. The Jewish people return to the land of Israel. Step 2. Israel becomes the main character in a massive war. Step 3. Global destruction called the Tribulation occurs. Step 4. Armageddon happens. And
Right.
Step 5. Jesus Christ returns.
It's like levels in an RPG.
Behold, the fruits of Martin Luther. To get my biases out of the way a little bit, I was born and raised Catholic. Baptized, communion, confirmation, catechism class for years, all that stuff. I stopped caring for a while. I had like a edgy atheist stage as a teenager. Then I was agnostic for a while, and then in 2020 when I...
Bro, I miss the edgy atheist days. Those were some days. I felt so high and mighty on myself and my newfound knowledge. I was such a prick. The edgy atheist. Oh god, I love
back
it.
home during COVID, I returned to Catholicism. Needless to say, I am comfortable with identifying as Catholic again today. I don't talk about this shit because it's not relevant, but it's relevant here. I have many Protestant friends, a few are evangelical. This isn't to like hate on them, even though I'm gonna be making jokes, but it's just to shine a light on a heavy bias some people in power may have towards the Middle East. If a bunch of Catholics were in power pushing for us to go to war for the Vatican or something, that would also be a conversation worth having. But that is not happening right now. And if you're wondering why Ted Cruz suddenly out of nowhere is sharing like 10,000 word AI.
I mean, to be fair, the Vatican doesn't really get in trouble all that much. They kind of just keep to themselves, you know. I'm pretty sure Vatican City is both a city and a nation. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like I looked that up one time. This could be one of my fun facts. My girlfriend is full of fun facts. I love that about her. But this is actually one of mine, where I'm pretty sure Vatican City is the smallest country in the world. It's only got a population of like 700 or something like that. And granted, I looked at this years ago, so it's likely changed. You could fact check me on that and let me know, but I think it's also a city and a country at the same time. But for the most part, you know, we don't really hear anything about the Pope declaring holy war on anybody, so they typically just kind of keep to themselves.
I slop Twitter essays about how Catholics are parasites.
Yeah,
it's because he's
city-state.
butthurt that Catholics don't believe in the same doomsday prophecy about
It sits
Israel
inside
as
of
him
Rome,
and
yeah.
other evangelicals
Yeah,
do.
I know it's like a
Catholics are not
landlocked
religiously
country.
obligated to support Israel. Same with Orthodox and honestly most branches of Christianity. Evangelical Protestants, on the other hand, don't know how to fucking read and think the modern state of Israel is the same Israel mentioned in the Bible. This would be like the fry cook at McDonald's being named Jesus and you falling to your knees and worshiping him as the savior, and then blowing up the world for him.
I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate. And I've worked every day to do that. Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two...
Hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel.
To think all of this could have been avoided if we simply named Israel Sand, New Jersey. Dispensationalists take...
Sand in New Jersey. I don't know. I hear him say that. Ted Cruz, I mean. I hear him say that, and the first thing that comes to my mind is just like, well, why don't you just go move to Israel then? Because it sounds like that's, you know, that's where that's where you want to be. So have at it. Sport. Have fun, champ.
The Bible extremely literally. They're basically like the autism of Christianity, which is why so many Protestant evangelicals in our government are Zionists. Now, let's discuss the word Zionist, because I know that word like makes some of you cringe, and
Before she goes any further with this word, there is a lot of disagreement, I guess, about what this word means. This is the definition that I've heard for it, and I'm willing to be corrected, but from my understanding, the word Zionist means somebody who just it's the political and social belief that Israel should be its own country, basically, is what Zionism is. And it's the push for basically to be an independent nation. And I hear that and I'm just like, okay, that doesn't sound too bad to me. But I think other people have a different idea of what that word means, and I think it carries some other implications. So I'm interested to see what her definition is, or what she talks about when it comes to this word.
I don't blame you, because it's kind of just like thrown around so haphazardly today. It basically means nothing anymore. There are Zionists of all races and religions. Not all Jewish people are Zionists. Not all Zionists are Jewish. Most Zionists in our government are not Jewish. So don't let them ever guilt trip you into...
Oh, yeah. Take care, Soggy. Have a good day. Getting late and you're getting off. Yep. Catch you next time, man.
To thinking you're anti-Semitic for criticizing people like Ted Cruz. Also, it's not anti-Semitic to criticize the Jewish people in our government either. Like, Randy Fine? Bro is a freak. There is a reason the first time I shook Netanyahu's hand, I did not wash it until I could touch the heads of my children.
What the fuck?
Anyway, contrary to popular belief, Zionism does not mean when you, like, passively support Israel as like a good ally to have in the Middle East. That is not what being a Zionist is. It's like a whole ideology. It's like a movement. Now, one of the major characters who believes in this like doomsday lore anime is Lindsey Graham. If you don't know who Lindsey Graham is, you've probably seen him on Fox News a few times. He's been on like every single night the past 3 weeks. To make it short, he is the senator of South Carolina, and he is a notorious neocon warhawk. He has never met a war he didn't like. He is basically the real-life version of the Holden Blood Feast meme. That is Lindsey Graham. So Lindsey, girl's name by the way, believes that defending Israel is God's will and has said things like,
if America pulls the plug on Israel, God will pull the plug on us.
And I wouldn't blame anybody if they assumed he was the senator of Tel Aviv and not the senator of South Carolina. When his own state was hit with a massive hurricane, bro said this.
Elon Musk for that. You know, I've been going all over South Carolina like most people. I hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel. They're running out of ammunition in Israel. We have to help our friends.
The man even outright says he would support a foreign country over the citizens of America.
All the anti-Semites to all the isolationists, I don't believe. Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day.
The anti-Semites and the isolationists. The isolation. Saying you aren't with Americans and are with a foreign country is so fucking insane for a United States politician to say. How is this guy still in office? This is like borderline treasonous.
Israel and the United States, you just wait to see what comes in the next 2 weeks.
The next 2 weeks meaning what?
We're gonna blow the hell out of these people.
I'm sorry. We're gonna what? It's not war if the balls don't touch. Okay, so Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz are weird, American last freaks who believe this doomsday shit, but like, who cares, right? There's a bunch of those guys, like, who gives a f what they believe? Well, here's the issue. Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham might be the little birdies in Trump's ear pushing us to do this war.
I urged the president to launch this attack. As you noted, I was with him pretty much the entire day on Friday before the attack launched on Saturday. Pretty much the whole time he was asking me what I thought we should do on Iran.
and Lindsey Graham apparently had direct contact with Netanyahu. To help make the case on Iran, Graham traveled several times to Israel in recent weeks, meeting with members of the country's intelligence agency. "They'll tell me things our own government won't tell me," he said. He spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, coaching him on how to lobby the president for action. Netanyahu showed the president intelligence that persuaded Trump to go ahead, Graham said. "Ah yes, Netanyahu, someone we should definitely listen to when it comes to this subject."
There is no question whatsoever that Saddam is seeking and is working and is advancing towards the development of nuclear weapons. No question whatsoever.
No question whatsoever. It's crazy how I literally warned about this happened. Like months ago, I literally warned the administration, keep away from Lindsey Graham.
Trump, listen to me. Wait, Trump doesn't watch this shit. Vance, listen to me.
I'm right
Get
here,
people
my
like
love.
Lindsey Graham far away from anyone in power right now. This little Venezuela stunt was cute, but we are not touching any other countries. We are not touching the Middle East, especially. No more Middle East. We all have Middle East fatigue.
I just need to say, I don't like being correct about this stuff. I would rather be wrong. I would love nothing more than to be f***ing wrong about everything. If we don't put boots on the ground, if we don't create a new forever war, that would be the best thing ever. You can come back to this video and say, na boo boo, you were wrong. And I would be like, hell yeah. Fantastic. That would be wonderful. I will personally write a handwritten letter apologizing to Cat Turd for not trusting the plan. I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. All I know is I saw a commercial for the military with white men in it. So, not a good sign. And right now, as I am making this video, our good friend Lindsey Graham is talking about putting boots on the ground.
Here's what I tell President Trump. Keep it up for a few more weeks. Take Carg Island, where all of the resources they have to produce oil. Control that island. Let this regime die on a vine.
Is this going to, though, take Carg Island? Is it going to involve U.S. troops on the ground?
We did Iwo Jima. We can do this.
We did Iwo Jima. We can do this. What the f***? For those unaware, Iwo Jima was one of the most brutal battles of World War II. About as many Americans died in that battle than all of the Iraq and Afghanistan war combined. This guy's a f***ing freak, dude. Also, who the f*** is we? We? You enlisting Lindsey Graham? Bitch.
Well, we have the best chance in 2,000 years when Iran is neutralized.
I'm sorry, I thought this war started in 1979, when the Iranian Revolution overthrew the puppet government we installed in the 1950s. But I guess I was wrong. This war actually started 2,000 years ago. That's right, it's not about weapons of mass destruction. It's not about bringing democracy to Iran. Turns out we're fighting an ancient desert war. Exactly what MAGA voted for. Another factor that is relevant to these warmongers banging on the war drum is, of course, money. Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham receive a ton of money from AIPAC. Many politicians in our government are paid by AIPAC, Democrat and Republican, which is why you probably don't see a ton of anti-Iran war stuff coming from even the Democrats, when they would usually jump on literally anything to make Orange Man look bad. The only thing Democrats and Republicans can agree on is protecting pedophiles and war. Great. AIPAC stands for the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Now, you might sometimes see people bring up like AIPAC money, like, oh, this guy takes AIPAC money. And maybe some of you don't really understand like why that's a big deal. So I'm going to explain it in a nuanced way you can hopefully understand. The reason why people don't like big money being involved in politics in general is because it can literally purchase the way a politician will govern. For example, if a billionaire CEO of a health insurance company donates to a politician, you can bet that politician is probably not going to advocate for things like socialized healthcare or anything like that. And if a candidate takes a lot of money from something like AIPAC, that is a sign they will probably have a heavy bias toward war in the Middle East. That's why people prefer when a candidate only takes like small donations from voters. There's no corporations, billionaires, or foreign governments pulling the strings there. Like how I take money from you, the people. I am funded directly by Big Simp. Some politicians get paid a lot by AIPAC, and some politicians sell out for the price of a Big Mac and fries. Yikes. Weird fact, one of the top donors to AIPAC was actually the creator of OnlyFans who died recently. He gave like millions of dollars to AIPAC, and AIPAC gives millions of dollars to the people in Congress. So in a weird way, our government was partially funded by OnlyFans whores. Checks out. But you gotta understand, a lot of these guys would do it for free. Hypothetical. One country must no longer exist. A, the United States. B, Israel. Choose. Read Revelations and report back. When people talk about the separation of church and state, this is the shit they're talking about. What the f? Like, what do you mean there's an American politician saying he would rather the nation he allegedly serves be destroyed over evangelical Wakanda? Get this guy out of here! I actually responded to this guy, and we had a little Twitter fight, and he just told me to read the Bible. There are people in charge of our country right now who believe we have to go to war for a biblical prophecy. That is a giant, major conflict of interest. We need to be asking people like Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, Mike Huckabee, Mike Johnson. We need to be asking all these evangelicals in office the same exact question. Also, I just checked how much this guy gets paid from AIPAC, and whoa, buddy! Okay, so here's where it gets schizophrenic as f. While I am telling you this, please keep in mind, I don't believe this. This is what they believe. Because as I was writing this, I felt like a crazy person. With the evangelical doomsday lore, there is something called the Third Temple. In Judaism, there were two temples. There was the first temple built around 10th century BC, and the second temple rebuilt around the exile. And the third temple is this idea that a new Jewish temple will be built on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem to help usher in end times. Also, interesting side note here, Jewish people, especially Orthodox Chabad Jews, who are basically like the evangelicals of Judaism, believe building this temple will not bring on the end times, but the Messianic Age, otherwise known as the Golden Age, where everyone will live under Noahide laws, where the concept of worshiping Jesus would basically be illegal. Meanwhile, the evangelical end times, the Jews will convert to Christianity. So Christians and Jews are both looking to build this thing for very different reasons that do not complement each other at all, yet they are both working together to do it, and both think they will be right in the end. Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of War, has openly talked about rebuilding the Third Temple.
And there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible.
Man, we just want affordable homes and groceries. What is this? And Pete Hegseth, according to the president, is apparently the guy who does not want the war to end.
$7 a gallon.
Pete and General Raisin Cane, I think this thing's going to be settled very soon. Here they go. Oh, that's too bad. Pete didn't want it to be settled.
So, what is so bad about rebuilding this temple? If none of this is true, like, who gives a shit? Like, freedom of religion. Well, here's the issue. If the goal is to trigger a massive war in order to get Jesus to return, they will do shit to make that happen. They will want to destroy and destabilize the Middle East, and they will use your sons and daughters to do it for them.
I go back to South Carolina, I'm asking them to send their sons and daughters over to the Mideast.
Wow, the childless warmonger with no stake in the future and moles on his ass wants our children to go fight and die in another pointless war? That last thing is true, by the way, about the moles. Look it up.
Oh, interesting.
Actually, don't. You'll regret it. Don't. Also, the area they want to build this temple thing on already has like a big mosque on it called the Al-Aqsa Mosque. I don't know how to fucking say that. And destroying this site would have like devastating consequences for the Middle East and for us. Not that they care. Just keep an eye out if that Al-Aqsa Mosque gets conveniently destroyed by a rogue Iranian missile or something in the upcoming days of this war. So yes, it is a holy war. We are being non-consensually dragged into a holy war by 3 different sets of desert people, just as I started to get my life together. Now here is the important question. Could all this doomsday talk these politicians are saying out loud just be religious pandering to the massive evangelical population that votes for the GOP to get them to vote for a war that is ultimately about, you know, like land and weapons and territory or whatever the Yes, absolutely yes. It could all be bullshit. They might not actually believe it. I mean, a bunch of politicians, like, they're going to islands and like raping kids. You think these people believe in God? But remember, like I said, many
Not
do.
the God of the Bible.
Sometimes people really do believe in things and they will kill and die for them. Or, you know, make you go kill and die for them. I know it's hard for people to understand this. They understand it perfectly well when it comes to radical Islam, when Muslims will like blow themselves up for Allah or whatever the Yet when it comes to other religions, like they can't really comprehend it. Just because you don't believe in something doesn't mean that people who do won't do crazy shit. Like, because they believe in something. US commanders across more than 30 military bases told troops the Iran war was part of God's plan and linked it to Armageddon. A commander said Trump was anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon. The Military Religious Freedom Foundation says it has received over 110 similar complaints describing the war as biblically sanctioned and a sign of the Christian end times. So here's the question. Does Trump believe in this? No. No, I don't think so. But the people around him do, and they talk about it all the time. And after Trump was like a millimeter...
Honestly, that's always the impression I've got from Trump. He's talked about religion, but he's never, like, outright said, like, I believe, or... I don't know. You know, he swore on the Bible, and, you know, he's surrounded by religious people, and he definitely... You know, the people who vote for him are typically religious, but I've never heard him actually talk about his religious practices before, which is interesting because it usually goes hand in hand with right-wing politics.
You're away from being brutally and horrifically assassinated on live TV. Probably not good or healthy that he has people like Mike Huckabee in his ear, the United States ambassador to Israel, saying this in regards to bombing Iran. Mr. President, God spared you in Butler, Pennsylvania to be the most consequential president in a century, maybe ever. The decision on your shoulders, I would not want to be made by anyone else. You have many voices speaking to you, sir, but there is only one voice that matters. His voice. I am your appointed servant in this land, and I am available for you. But I do not try to get in your presence often because I trust your instincts. No president in my lifetime has been in a position like yours, not since Truman in 1945. I don't reach out to persuade you, only to encourage you. I believe you will hear from heaven, and that voice is far more important than mine or anyone else's. You sent me to Israel to be your eyes, ears, and voice, and make sure our flag flies above our embassy. My job is to be the last one to leave. I will not abandon this post. Our flag will not come down. You did not seek this moment. This moment sought you. It is my honor to serve you.
Dude, he sounds like this sounds like the final speech that the protagonist gives in an RPG before setting off on the final boss quest. He has to leave all the party members that he gathered over the course of the RPG behind, because this final level he has to do by himself using all the skills that he's acquired over the course of his journey, right? And that's what he sounds like.
Mike Huckabee. Not since Truman in 1945. What did he mean by this, chat? In conclusion, evangelical Wakanda is an interesting aspect to all of this to consider. It might not be the only cause of the war. I don't think it is. I think there's many different reasons.
We were just talking about
Wakanda. It's pretty
Wakanda.
important to consider the fact that there are people in power right now who are very close to
the whole isolationist thing. Yeah, because like in order to be that, you would have to like literally become Wakanda. We were talking about
the
that.
President of the United States, who may be a teeny itsy bitsy bit biased when it comes to war in the Middle East. Also, draft Lindsey Graham. That is all. Thank you for your attention to this matter. If you guys want a completely uncensored version of this video with no bleeps, donate to my Patreon, link down below. All Patreons get a raw version of each video a day before. Become a member of Big Simp today. Also, big shout out to Ground News again for sponsoring this video. It was hard to get a sponsor for this video. I was about to do it with no sponsor, and Ground News was like, sure, we'll do it. Talk about whatever you want. Like, that's based. That's based. Go give them some love. And I will see you guys next time with a slop video. I promise.
Okay, cool. That was a lot of fun. I have not forgotten what we needed to do next. The Boo Demon explained. I need to see this because this is just... Yeah, okay, here we go. I've been waiting for this I don't know if this is the one that
What
we need to watch.
are Labubu
What are
dolls? Are they demonic? Or are people making a big deal out of nothing? Now, I want to talk about these Labubu dolls.
You want a Labubu? Baby, we'll get you a Labubu. They're allegedly a demon, and we're gonna learn about why they're a demon today.
I knew nothing about them.
Yeah,
I see now that I have looked up some things online that people have been talking about these dolls for a while, but I guess they're starting to trend again because on TikTok I saw people saying that these dolls are starting to cause some paranormal things to happen. They say that the
Don't
dolls.
encourage her. You're talking to the guy. Hold on. You're talking to the guy who has this. She straight up gave me this throw blanket. Hold up. Check it out. It's a Ouija board. Look at that shit. Yeah. My goth baddie. She claims she's retired, and I'm telling her that once a goth, always a goth. And nah. She gave me this Ouija board throw blanket. It's very warm and comfortable. So I literally sleep underneath a Ouija board every night. I think I'd be fine with a Labubu at my place.
Follow them with their eyes when they're walking around. They feel like an eerie presence with the dolls in the room.
Yeah. She found Christ and gave me all her Satan stuff. Yeah, there's like a book on spirits that she gave me. Spells, witchcraft, and wizardry, like Hogwarts. I'm cool with it. Me and the demons kick it. We smoke joints. We smoke joints and watch horror movies sometimes.
You know, people are saying their anxiety
What's
gets
one
high
more?
and other things. So, you know, things being moved around, typical of demonic objects. When you bring them into your house, they cause all this paranormal activity to happen. So they're saying that it's the doll's fault. Now, I don't have one of these dolls. I can only go by what I see on the internet. But what we can do is do a little bit of research to who the creator of these dolls are and what brought about the need for him to make these dolls. So let's go ahead and let's find this out, because this is what's very important to find out if there really is demonic activity behind these dolls. So first of all, what are Labubu dolls? Labubu dolls were created by Hong Kong-based artist Casing Lung in collaboration with the designer toy brand Pop Mart. Labubu is one of many characters from his fantasy series called The Monsters. The character is mischievous, forest-dwelling, and intentionally designed to be odd, mixing cuteness with eerie features like a toothy grin and wide, staring eyes. Now, when I looked at this doll, the teeth did it for me, and those big old eyes. I was like, if I'm a kid looking at this, it kind of reminds me of Chucky.
Hi, I'm Charlie. Wanna play?
You made me do this.
But Chucky had a demonic spirit. So when I look at these dolls, even though they're not as probably intimidating and scary as Chucky, I can look at the face and, you know, I'm like, okay, first of all, if there's a mischievous anything behind it,
with the
that's
red
not
eyes.
good. That means deception. So right there, the creator has made this doll with deception in mind. And anywhere there's deception, there's the enemy. There's witchcraft. So I don't know what this man believes, but I can almost guarantee you he's probably not a Christian just because of what he's created. But we need to go into this a little bit deeper. So let's look at the artistic inspiration behind these dolls. Casing Lung has said Labubu was inspired by European fairy tales, particularly darker, whimsical stories like Where the Wild Things Are and Nordic
That's what it reminded me of.
folklore. Labubu isn't from any ancient myth or cult. It's a product of storytelling, childhood imagination, and unique artistic expression. But the character's creepy, cute style has sparked controversy. You see this, it says Nordic folklore. It says fairy tales. So if you know anything about Nordic folklore, there's a lot of demonic elements to it. And it's almost like Greek mythology, the little god stuff. These gods who were getting prayed to because they brought fertility, they helped the land, they calmed the sea, all this stuff, right? That obviously our God, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, he does it way better, okay? But these false gods were big inspirations back in the day. So just knowing this about this guy is enough for me to say that what is behind the inspiration of this doll is not holy, is not pure, and is not righteous. And if you know anything about other religions like Santeria or any other witchcraft religion, they're big on idolatry.
I'm really hoping he goes into the relationship to the Exorcist demon, because the name is really similar. I'm sure he's going to go into it.
Demonic spirit in Santeria called Iligua, and he's like a mischievous, stealing Joker type. When I read about this doll having that mischievous attitude, I think of stuff like that. So if you bring those idols in, demonic activity comes. If you're involved in Santeria, you'll start having paranormal activity. You can't sleep at night. You start to notice that you get health issues, just all kinds of things. Your family goes all out of whack. That's what happens when you bring demonic items in your home. And just from reading what I read right here is enough for me to tell you, if these dolls are in your house, more than likely there's going to be some demonic spirit that's probably going to come with them. This is one of the biggest keys I can tell you.
You're trying to put a demonic spirit in my house, babe? That's awfully kind of you. We'll sing songs at night.
You know that you don't have any demonic activity going on now, but you bring in this doll, and all of a sudden you're getting anxiety. All of a sudden your kids are acting rebellious, they're acting out, they're becoming addicted to these dolls. If you see these kind of things happening, then you can guarantee there is witchcraft influence.
And she goes, I need it.
Behind the doll, and you need to get rid of it ASAP. Now, when you explain it to your kids, you're going to have to explain it to them.
Oh, the pink dress Labubu. Noted. Yeah, noted. We can come back to this video and you can point it out. I think there were two pink dress ones that I saw. There was one with like reddish eyes that I thought was kind of creepy, but I think I know the one that you're talking about. I'd have to go back and look at it though.
In a way that they'll understand. Hey, I want to show you, like, take...
Worst case, it's haunted, so I find Jesus after. Maybe, quite possibly, perhaps.
Come to the computer, show them what the information is that will show them that these dolls have demonic influence behind them. Show them about the inspiration of the person who created them and things like that. Source is everything. When you find the source of the creator of that doll, you'll find out what has been put behind the doll, what inspiration is there. So if the person who created the doll had demonic inspiration, then you can guarantee that these dolls are going to also have demonic things with it. So when you're explaining this to your children, just explain how this is not going to be helpful to them. And when we allow demonic items into our home, it's like an open, free invitation for demon spirits to come in and to afflict us and attack us. Letting things happen that you don't need to let happen. It's just unnecessary torment for what? Are you going to get a demon because you allow the items in your home? No, not necessarily, but you're going to allow a demon to oppress you on the outside. And if you idolize the doll long enough, it can get on the inside of you. But if you're getting this revelation now, watching this video, my recommendation would be get rid of it. Burn it, throw it away, make sure nobody else can get their hands on it.
Salt it and burn it.
Again, the only reason I'm on here talking about this is because I saw it started to trend again. And I'm just coming as somebody who is inspired by the Holy Spirit, who wants people to walk right and not walk into bondage, but walk in victory that Jesus Christ has given us at the cross of Calvary. I'm just coming on here to warn you and to let you know you don't want these demonic items in your house. Now, the Labubu doll might be cute to some people, but it don't stay cute long. Remember how the devil works. He comes looking good, but inside he's really bad, and then everything that goes on around him gets bad. He dresses up, looks good for a moment, but then he gets really ugly really fast. And that's how anything is that does with him. I mean, I wouldn't want to personally wake up and see the Labubu doll looking at me. I mean, all them teeth and looking half crazy. I mean, I just have no desire for that. Now, some people will say, what about superhero toys and things like that? We don't have to be so demon conscious that we can't even be in this world or have Superman or, you know, Wolverine or anything like that. These dolls, I believe, have true demonic inspiration behind them. I even see videos where the dolls are putting up middle fingers. They're just doing really bad things. So that shows you the spirit that's behind them. When you watch some of these like DC and Marvel movies, the characters don't have horrible inspiration behind them. They're actually coming with the positive stuff, like saving somebody, you know, restoring families, keeping some tragic thing from happening. That's not demonic in nature. These dolls, though, like I even saw a video where people were dressing up as them and shaking their butts and throwing the middle finger up. I mean, just doing a whole lot of unnecessary stuff. So this is why I think these dolls got a whole lot going on that people don't necessarily need to be involved with. Okay? Follow the convictions of the Holy Spirit.
Baby, I just made you a managing moderator of this channel, so you have some special powers. You have some executive powers at the Libservative. I'll give it to you on the Star Bazaar too.
What is the Holy Spirit telling you to do with these dolls? Are they telling you to get one, keep one, or throw it away? I would think he would say throw it away just because of what I feel and discern is going on behind that doll, but you have to get that for yourself. Let the Holy Spirit teach you. And hopefully you're hearing the Holy Spirit through my voice, and it's going to help you, because you don't want rebellion to be developed in your children or in friends and family because of these dolls, okay? Because they have witchcraft, and, you know, rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. So if witchcraft's there, then rebellion's going to pop up somewhere. So
is he not going to talk about the exorcist relationship? Here, is it this one? Oh wait, hold up.
Any encounters with these dolls? Was one in your house? I'm curious, is there any legitimacy to what I'm saying concerning these dolls? Now,
was it this one, babe? There's this guy in pink with the red eyes. But I think I saw another one somewhere around here. Was that it? Yeah, this guy. I think this was the other one that I saw. There's this one too. This guy kind of looks like a bunny almost with the heart-shaped nose. I'm kind of bummed that he didn't talk about the Pazuzu relationship. I mean, interesting video all the same. The bunny one with the heart-shaped nose. Heart-shaped nose. Boom boom. The heart-shaped nose. Da 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 da. Way, way. Yeah. Anyway. Hold on. Labubu Demon explained. Let me actually go back to that search because that's a good search. Yes, okay, this is what I wanted to look
Are
at.
Labubus demonic creatures that came straight from hell? They're marketed as these adorably creepy collectible little dolls, and I love them, but what if they're a little darker than you might think? People are actually starting to point out that they resemble Babylonian deities. On top of that, there's an actual demon named Pazuzu.
Yeah, the exorcist demon. This is the OG exorcist demon. Like Labubu, Pazuzu, it's kind of there.
Which sounds very similar to Labubu.
Yeah.
I feel like this part of the conspiracy theory is a stretch, but there's a Bible verse that says Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. That meaning that he doesn't come with horns or fire. He comes marketed, gift-wrapped, and trendy. Like the trap being that you're inviting him in willingly. There's even an episode of The Simpsons that references this craze. The episode not only features Labubus, but it features Pazuzus too. In the episode, Homer opens a doll that resembles this exact deity. He names it Pazuzu. And the moment he looks into the doll's eyes, he becomes possessed. And sure, this is just a cartoon, but where do these stories come from? This is the part that got me. There was a mom who said that she had a 6-year-old daughter who was obsessed with these dolls after watching unboxings. Soon after getting one, she had nightmares about a black creature with sharp teeth jumping out of her tablet and eating her face. Things got really bad. She wasn't eating, she wasn't sleeping, she was exhausted and terrified. And the second everyone decided they were gonna pray over her, things stopped. This is after she talked to a doctor, she talked to counselors. But the very same night they prayed over her and the Labubu, nothing happened again. There's another Bible verse that says, do not bring a detestable thing into your house or you.
Yeah. Rad. So I'm gonna bring a demon into my house, chat. A Babylonian or Assyrian demon named Pazuzu. Yeah, we'll have fun. Nirvana is peak. Yeah. A heart-shaped box. I don't know. Just a heart-shaped nose. Yeah. I'm gonna... Oh, this guy... This is an interesting channel. So this guy, he's a fellow atheist. He says some interesting things, though. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what he has to say. I agree with him on the God stuff, but it's usually the stuff around the God stuff where I'm just like, I don't know about that.
There's something unprecedented happening in the religious and political landscape of the US right now, and I'm betting you're overwhelmed enough with horrible current events that you've missed it. If you've seen right-wing news stories about a Christian revival among Gen Z, you might think that's what it is.
Well, you know, they say everything is bigger in Texas, and that includes the Sunday service, thanks in part to the growing number of young people in the pews every week.
Religious leaders say Gen Z or Gen Z is reversing a trend of religious decline that's been seen across the West for decades.
All right, so we've been tracking the youth revival across America, but it's not just happening on Sundays.
At one Long Island church, young people are opting to go on their Friday nights.
But no, that's not quite it. More on that soon. If you've seen this truly excellent video from Tom Nicholas, you might think you know what it is.
Over the past couple of years, politics and Christianity have been on an unignorable collision course, not only here in the UK, but in Europe and the US too. Which isn't entirely without precedent. America in particular has had a well-defined and extremely vocal Christian right for decades. What's new is an apparent embrace of Christianity as part of a much broader political strategy. The political right aren't just trying to appeal to Christian voters, they're placing God front and center of their political messaging for everyone.
Which I can't speak for other countries like the UK, but at least here in the United States, we have something called the separation of church and state. So, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for them.
It's like an old-time revival, isn't it? An old-time revival.
I love and appreciate you and your work, Tom, but there's more precedent for this than you might realize. The American right wing did this back in the 1940s and 50s, and it worked extremely well. I have a whole video about this already, so I'll keep it brief. In the 1930s, FDR's New Deal policies created Social Security and raised taxes on corporations and the wealthy to create social programs for regular people. In response, super rich men in the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the National Association of Manufacturers, particularly those in the oil and automotive industry, launched an organization called Spiritual Mobilization. Through their mouthpiece, Reverend James W. Fifield, they created a new theology which might sound familiar.
He preaches a message that they like to hear, which is that the New Deal is evil. It is a form, he says, of pagan statism. And instead, what we need is a return to, again, this kind of unfettered free enterprise. He links Christianity and capitalism. He sees that they're deeply intertwined. In his view, both are systems that stress individualism above all else. So as he tells it, Christianity is a system in which if you're good, you go to heaven. If you're bad, you go to hell. Capitalism is the same way, he says. If you're good, you make a profit. If you're bad, you go to the poorhouse. And any system that interferes with that divinely prescribed order of things, he says, is a form of...
This video is in your recommended today. It's in your watch later. Well, hey, we can watch it now, and I can clear up some space in the watch later. Yeah, we totally have that. Yeah, religion has always had a place in politics and can arguably be described as a driving force of history. Yeah, absolutely. Europe is a grand example of religion and the separation from the church causing massive waves. King Henry VIII, Luther, for examples. Yeah, I mean, all throughout history, because for a long time, I mean, the church was the law. The church was the government for a long time. So yeah, it's got a lot of ties. The separation from that, like in the context of a recorded human history, religion has had more of a driving and controlling factor over politics than not. You know what I mean? Like this, the separation of church and state is a relatively new concept, all things considered.
Pagan statism is itself evil.
Their first step was to convince Christian ministers of this, who would then preach this theology to their congregations. This worked very well and kicked off a reciprocal relationship between American Christian organizations and corporate America. Big businesses like Sun Oil fund pro-capitalist Christians. Those Christians preach pro-capitalist theology. Their congregations then vote against their own interests and for the interests of big corporations. Business leaders make even more money, and the cycle repeats. These preachers also spread the message that communism was literally satanic. In 1949, Billy Graham preached that communism is a religion that is inspired, directed, and motivated by the devil himself, who has declared war against Almighty God. This anti-communist messaging especially propelled capitalist Christian theology to the forefront of right-wing politics in the US, and in turn, a massive Christian revival began. Church membership soared to an all-time high of 69%. For the first time, Americans began to think of their country as an officially Christian nation. Spiritual Mobilization's motto was freedom under God. It became so popular among right-wing America that the Eisenhower administration in the 50s adapted it to one nation under God and inserted it into the Pledge of Allegiance. They also made In God We Trust the United States' official motto. In short, the American right placed Christianity front and center in their political messaging in the 40s and 50s, and it was so successful that it changed the religious landscape of the country and propelled right-wingers to even greater power. Most people today think of the American religious right as something that really began in the 1980s, and there's a reason to see it that way. This is when Paul Michael Weyrich, the Heritage Foundation, the Moral Majority, and the Reagan administration conspired to use abortion as a wedge issue to drive Christians to vote for overtly racist right-wing politicians. That strategy also worked. It's the reason why evangelicals are now a right-wing political bloc. But finally, here's what's happening now, which is genuinely unprecedented. The American right wing is placing God front and center in their messaging like they did in the 1940s, 50s, and 80s, but this time, it's not working. At least, not like it used to. I think it's obvious to everyone at this point that the right is targeting young people, particularly young men, through Charlie Kirk's organization, Hitler Youth. I mean, Turning Point USA. This is where fascists get up in front of thousands of people and claim their rule is simply a manifestation of God's will.
We will defend this world. We will defend goodness. We will defend light. We will defend virtue. You cannot terrify us. You cannot frighten us. You cannot threaten us. Because we are on the side of goodness. We are on the side of God.
So I guess I would just say this gathering and God's presence, God's very obvious presence in this room, the presence of Jesus, is a reminder of what we've known for 2,000 years, which is any attempt to extinguish the light causes it to burn brighter. Every single time.
What you might not realize is how similar Turning Point USA's approach has been to spiritual mobilizations. Turning Point was a purely political organization.
I mean, what's interesting about this is Alex, this guy, I think this guy's name is Alex. Is it Alex O'Connor, or is that's the other guy, I think. That's the Cosmic Skeptic. This is genetically modified skeptic. Anyway, this dude, he just described the spokespeople who got up at Turning Point USA as fascists and something else, but those clips he just showed was just those people saying optimistic messages. Like, there was nothing fascistic about what they said necessarily. So I don't know. See, that's what I mean. It's like, this guy, I agree with him on the God stuff, but just when it comes to everything else, I didn't just like, dude, what do you mean? What do you mean? What are you talking about, bro?
Until
You're being
2021.
silly.
That's
Being
when Kirk
silly,
started
bro.
Turning Point Faith, which had
Just
Pastor Rob
silliness.
McCoy, no relation, and Kirk himself visit churches and convince their leaders to preach a theology which explicitly favored Turning Point's politics in exchange for church growth resources. This, they hoped, would set up another reciprocal relationship between Christian organizations and Turning Point's backers in corporate America. Turning Point would give churches the resources to attract more people, those churches would reach and convert those people to a far-right Christianity, and those new Christians would support the interests of Turning Point's backers. But like I said, this is not actually working. Americans are not converting to Christianity, especially not Gen Z. I was giving a talk on this exact subject in Washington, D.C. a couple weeks ago, actually. We are like one of the biggest religious groups in the country, or the biggest by religious affiliation, which is none. It was a little hard to see the crowd up there, but I believe that the person who corrected my mistake was none other than Annie Laurie Gaylor, the co-president of the Freedom from Religion Foundation. Next time, I'll be sure to get it right, because not only am I speaking at the FFRF National Convention this October, but Annie Laurie personally, in person, right before my speech, personally saw to it that my viewers get a huge discount on their tickets.
Anywho, I'm gonna let you finish this in your own time, Fox. He lost me. Oh hey, that's an older video. That was a baller thumbnail, dude. The photo mode in Survivor is on point. Labubu's are everything wrong with society. Yeah. All right. Oh man. Let's see what else is on my feed here. This one's a good and short video. I'm a fan of Warren Smith. I don't know what
Mehdi
this is
Hassan
going to be
recently appeared
about.
on trigonometry and something really.
This is Konstantin Kisin exposes Mehdi Hassan for lying during interview. Dun dun dun. Caught in 4K.
He gets caught in a blatant lie. Trigonometry pulled up the statistics. You will see it on screen right here.
We have to admit that there have been fundamental failings on the left. For instance, the border, having an open border.
There's no open border, Francis. Where's the open border?
This is what a semantic game looks like. According
I'll do
to
the
him,
political
it's only
test
an
after
open
this
border
video.
if there's absolutely no attempt to secure it.
Well, Trump has closed it, but before there was an open border.
It wasn't it? What's your definition of an open border?
Well, you look.
Millions of illegals coming in.
That doesn't mean it's open. That just means they managed to come in illegally. That just means the border wasn't as secure as you wanted it to be.
Hold on a second.
Open border means I can just walk into America. Nobody could do that.
People do just walk into America, so that's a lie.
Well, hold on. If millions of people are able to walk into my house, and I say, I've got an open door policy to my house, you go, that's not an open door policy. It just means people got in. I mean, come on.
Then it gets bizarre when he argues that it's not a good thing to lock the door.
As I walk around the cities of the United States, and we travel here regularly, I'm shocked by the number of homeless people, right? And you could say, well, look, the push factors, the people who don't have somewhere to live, so that's why they're coming into your house. No, they're coming into your house because you've left the door open. And that's what was happening under the Democratic Party.
So that's not quite true. So let's look at the numbers. When Biden left office, right, in 2024, there were fewer people coming in than in Donald Trump's last year of office in the first term. That's just a fact. Go look at the numbers.
And this is where the lie occurs. We have the data right here. It's the opposite of what he is saying.
the trends were down. You've got to look at trends. Clearly there was a peak. I'm not disputing that.
Okay.
In 21, 22, huge peak. I was at MSNBC, we covered it all the time.
With that point,
but the point is, if it was an
France
open border, why didn't it stay up, up, up? Why did it come down?
Because they realized it's a problem and they were trying to deal
then we
with
agree there wasn't an open border.
If the definition is we're inviting people in with absolutely no security at all, if that's an open border, then sure. But that's not what we're talking about here, and you know it.
No, there was an open border.
Okay, for 1 year, they were really bad at border security. Yes, let's concede that.
Okay.
So just 1 year, they were really bad at border security. I think it's interesting when he describes conservatives as evil geniuses and tries to break down the master plan.
You go to people's hearts, right? You get their emotional heartstrings and you pull them. The Republicans are masters of that. They appeal to our dark demons. They're like, you need to hate that person. You need to be mad at that person. The migrant, the Mexican, the trans kid, right? It works. It's evil genius. It works.
Even though we just looked at data and we can clearly identify an objective problem, that has nothing to do with vilifying someone for a narrative purpose to elicit an emotional response like you're insinuating. But then he contradicts us when he claims that Biden was doing the exact same thing.
I mean, Joe Biden was not some dove on the border. Biden and Harris put together the most draconian border security legislation, which I'm on the left. I was criticizing Biden and Harris for being hawks on certain things. For example, child separation. For example, putting children, all of this stuff. They borrowed a lot of Trump policies. For the first year of their administration, they kept the same rule that Trump used under the pandemic to just kick people out. No, I'm being very serious. If you want to use your house analogy, if you opened your house door and said, everyone come in, no, I'm not going to stop you, then fine, that is an open door policy. If people come into your house in the window in the middle of the night while you're calling the police.
That you left open.
Well, did they leave open?
Well, clearly, because the moment Donald Trump was elected, he closed the window.
Well, he closed it completely, which is ridiculous.
You heard it right there. According to Mehdi, we are not supposed to close the window. But then he's arguing that the window wasn't left open, as he's arguing that we shouldn't shut the window.
The fact that people at one point were not able to come in, and then they were, is evidence of a shift in policy. Is that a fair claim?
I don't know about its policy, because the Biden administration did copy a lot of Trump policies.
He can't even concede that there was a shift in policy, which is reflected by the data.
So France, we remember how we started this conversation. Francis actually was, I think you guys were agreeing a lot, but he said the left had failings, right? And one of those failings was the failure to enforce the border. And you've just conceded that in your telling it's 1 year. I would argue it's a longer thing.
Fine.
He doesn't sound to me like someone who's interested in actually getting to the truth. It's just a game. Here's something most people don't realize. The average American family eats nearly 40 pounds of imported meat each year, and most have no idea that they're even buying it. And that matters more than people realize. Imported meat can come from countries with different safety standards, different regulations, and a lot less transparency around how the food is raised and processed. And not to mention, imported meat travels thousands of miles before it even arrives to you, usually. That's why Good Ranchers does things differently. Good Ranchers connects American families directly to local farms and ranchers, delivering 100...
You're impressed the guy's able to decipher what the guy's saying with how much he's jumping around. Yeah, Warren Smith is pretty good.
American meat.
He's really good, actually. He's a professor that, no, he wasn't a professor. I think he was a former high school teacher, not a college professor. Jordan Peterson was the college professor, but no, this guy was a high school teacher that got fired because he had a really good conversation with his students about critical thinking. But the subject matter at hand was J.K. Rowling, and one of the students filmed that interaction in the classroom as it happened organically. The video went viral. It was a really, really good interaction. We could go down the Warren Smith rabbit hole another night because I want to get to that political test. But long story short, that video went viral. The school caught wind of it. I guess they didn't like what they saw, which was really interesting, all things considered, and they just ended up firing the guy. He made a video talking about the whole experience, and his YouTube career just exploded. So now he makes videos like this, just debunking different things. I haven't really seen an outright political affiliation out of the guy. He seems to lean more right. He definitely favors his right-wing audience. You know, you got to appeal to your people. So but I like his
Straight to your
content.
door. No imports, no mystery sourcing, just high quality.
And thank you, baby. The same. I would still love you if you were a Republican. Fortunately, I'm not a Republican, so we're good.
You can feel confident putting on your table. I'm a subscriber, and I can genuinely say this is a product I am proud to have as a sponsor. You get the steak boxes, super convenient, and you get a whole box of it. Saves you money. It's cheaper than at the grocery store, and it has more flavor. Plus, Good Ranchers just announced a major update, custom boxes. Now, instead of choosing a preset bundle, you can build your own box.
Yes, of course, my love. Rivals right after this stream.
With whatever you want. Steak, chicken, bacon, it's totally up to you. The bacon's good as well. Right now, when you subscribe, you'll get to choose a free meat that will be included with every order at no additional cost. Plus, with my code Warren, you'll get $25 off your first order. That's free meat in every order for life. And $25 off your first box with code Warren. Go to goodranchers.com today. That's goodranchers.com. American.
Yeah, his YouTube channel is at 600,000 subscribers. Let me see if I can find. God damn, dude, this chest congestion. It gets worse at night. And Baby had a very good theory that it's because of the temperature drop. I think she's onto something. But I'll find the video where he was talking about it. Let me see. Latest popular, or maybe oldest. Let's do oldest. Maybe most popular. I'll pull up the test in just a second, but I want to see if I can find the video where he talks about his experience getting fired. Because straight up, he was just having a conversation with his students about critical thinking, and they they fired him for that. Okay, this is I think this is it. It's only 5 minutes long. I'm gonna queue it up, and then I'm gonna pull up the test.
So these guys want to talk about.
Okay. Let's go to FaceTime. I'm gonna pull up Discord. And I'm actually really interested to see where I land on this test. Milk and cookies. Milk and cookies and candy canes. That's my girl. That's my girl. Yep. Yes, I agree. Let's see here. Perfect, thank you. Yeah, visit site. Okay, so then if I go back to the PC display. All right, let's see what we got here. The 8D poll comp is a political compass test that places users on 8 ideological axes, from economics and social values to diplomacy, authority, and more. Fascinating. Very, very, very fascinating. Yeah, upper left measures cultural values. Upper right measures economics, measures identity and borders, measures attitudes towards technology. Let's see what happens here. Holy shit, it's 100 questions. Okay. Internal tax systems should be implemented to mitigate tax avoidance. Or not internal, international tax systems should be implemented to mitigate tax avoidance. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. No. The manufacturing industry should be publicly owned. Diplomacy is a better foreign policy asset than a strong military. Jesus Christ. I have a feeling I'm just going to be the biggest fence sitter on the vast majority of these. This is going to be frustrating. I'm going to say agree to that one. I do not care how my nation is perceived by other nations. Yeah, I mean, certain ethnicities, genders, or sexual orientations should sometimes be given preferential treatment. Wealthy corporations should be prohibited from financial involvement in politics. Violent revolution is justified if the ruling party maintains control by undermining democracy. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, babe. Ballsy doing this live. We can definitely compare results. Welfare programs that sometimes benefit those too lazy to work should be reduced or eliminated. Land should not be a commodity to be bought and sold. Ooh, that's an interesting one. I mean, I disagree with this, but I'm kind of exploring why I disagree with it and where the precedence of, you know, owning a piece of the planet comes from, you know? I'm going to say disagree. To make compromises with your political opponents is to abandon your principles? No. No, because you can always recontextualize. You can look at it from a different point of view. The political system should be trusted to reform itself. Ha ha ha! Strongly disagree. Fuck that. Certain social media platforms should be owned and regulated by the government. Strongly disagree. Religious attire should be required by law. Strongly disagree. My political philosophy is derived from my faith. Strongly disagree. All authority should be questioned. Neutral. Due to ethical concerns, abortion should be restricted in most or all circumstances. Disagree. Publicly owned research institutions such as space programs should receive more public funding. Neutral. International wealth redistribution programs should be implemented to mitigate global inequality. I'm not 100% sure what this question means. International wealth redistribution programs. I don't know if this means like a joint effort between nations or if this is like something that the United States would be doing by itself and implementing in other countries. I'm going to say neutral or not sure. No one chooses their country of birth, so it is foolish to be proud of it. I'll strongly disagree. Torture, even during warfare, is morally wrong. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I support the death penalty for serious criminals, even if some are falsely accused. Ooh, we're getting into ethics now. fun. Very, very, very fun. Yeah, this is... I don't know if this was a good idea to do this live. This is fascinating. You think it means like the UN comes in and redistributes wealth for member states? Oh. Yeah, not too sure I agree with that. If that's what it is, I'm not too sure I agree with that. In either case, I'm satisfied with my neutral or not sure. Again, I feel like this is going to be my answer to most of these. I support the death penalty for serious criminals, even if some are falsely accused. It's this last part that's giving me the hang up. Say neutral. Religious values should inform law. Basic needs for survival should be unconditionally provided for free. Who decides this, and what's the baseline? Like, water, obviously. I'm pretty sure that is a law. Like, if you walk into a McDonald's and you ask for a cup of water, they, I think, legally cannot deny that request. They have to give you a cup of water. It's going to be like a little tiny transparent cup, and you can't take it to the fountain and fill it with soda, obviously, but like, they're legally obligated to give you water if you ask, and free of charge. So I would just need a little bit more clarity about what this is, basic needs for survival, but I think I would generally agree with that. Yeah, my national identity is important to me. Yeah, sure, why not? Revolution is the only way to achieve the society I desire. Viva la revolution. Essential utilities like electricity and water should be publicly owned. I have a really hard time conceptualizing that. A person's gender identity may be different to their biological sex, yeah. Government officials should be selected through a democratic process, yeah. All drugs should be decriminalized. Yeah. Yeah, I'd strongly agree with that. Scientific research should be freely available to the public rather than restricted or sold for profit. Agree. I can maybe understand not wanting to share, some crazy discovery that might, cause the human population to panic. Violent revolution is sometimes justified against a popular and democratically elected government. Sometimes justified against a popular and democratically elected government. Well, sure, if that popular and democratically elected government starts doing some fuck shit, I think violent revolution would be justified, so sure, I'd agree with that. Economic inequality is a greater issue than social inequality. Strongly agree with that, because social inequality stems from economic inequality, in my opinion. Right, hold on, I just want to make sure I understood that right. Economic inequality is a greater issue than social inequality. Yes, strongly agree. Freedom of speech should be protected, even if it is offensive or untrue. Strongly agree. Whistleblowers who reveal crimes committed by the government should not be prosecuted. Strongly fucking agree. It is acceptable for the state to censor websites which speak negatively of the government. Strongly fucking disagree. The government should never interfere with religious traditions. Strongly agree. Free access to the internet should be provided by the state as a public utility. Oh, that's fascinating. That's an interesting one. Free access to the internet should be provided by the state as a public utility. I'm going to disagree with that because typically anything owned or provided by the state is shit. Justice should be primarily rehabilitative rather than punitive. Interesting. That's an interesting one. I'm neutral on that. The consumption of animal products should be phased out due to environmental and ethical concerns. Strongly disagree. I love my steak and eggs way too much. Go to hell. Illegal immigrants who are not political refugees should be deported without exception. Who are not political refugees should be deported without exception. I'm gonna catch some heat for that one. Prostitution should be illegal. I disagree with that, actually. Get your bag. Corporate exploitation of cheap foreign labor ultimately benefits everyone. Corporate exploitation of cheap foreign labor ultimately benefits everyone. Corporate exploitation of cheap foreign labor ultimately benefits everyone. I'm actually going to disagree with that. Believe it or not. We can talk about it later, baby girl. Genetic modification of human embryos for cosmetic reasons is immoral. For cosmetic genetic modification of human embryos for cosmetic reasons is immoral. That's fascinating. I'm actually going to agree with that. Fuck, I almost strongly agree with that. I'm gonna agree with that. The environment cannot accommodate the current human population without a reduction in consumption. No, I disagree with that. I don't think there necessarily has to be a reduction in consumption. I think it would help, but with conservation efforts and recycling efforts, I think we can give back just as much as we consume, and it can be a symbiotic process. I'll disagree with that. The police should be granted greater power to protect us from extremists. Fuck, I'm like on the fence between disagree and strongly disagree. I'm gonna say disagree. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I don't. What is international law? What does that even mean? What's that mean? What do you mean by that? What is international law? And who governs this law? Do they throw you in international jail if you break this law? Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified? Sure, agree, why not? A united world government is a goal mankind should strive for. You know, peace on earth, utopia, it sounds great. We are all one race, the human race. It would be nice for all of us to unify. It's like the idealistic utopian part of me wants to agree with this, but my cynical distrust of institutions and the powers that be makes me want to strongly disagree with it, because I know whatever world government becomes the rulers of the fucking world, like, it's not going to turn out good for us. It sounds good on paper, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm going to be neutral. I'm not sure. Currency should be abolished. That's fascinating. Disagree. Military service should be mandatory. I'm not sure. Corporations can be trusted to operate ethically without excessive regulation. Corporations can be trusted to operate ethically without excessive regulation. Why is it gotta be excessive though? I don't have a problem with this question if it drops excessive. Corporations can be trusted to operate ethically without regulation. I would say strongly disagree. Absolutely not. We cannot trust the corporations to operate ethically. But without excessive regulation, I don't know, like, define excessive. I'm gonna disagree. Baby girl. She goes designer baby. I love you so much. Is it sometimes acceptable for the state to authorize or conduct unethical experiments for research? Disagree. Sacrifices to living standards should be made if they are necessary to preserve the environment. My problem with this test is that these questions are super vague. Because I'm playing out multiple scenarios where this applies, and in some of them, sure, yeah, we can sacrifice certain things to preserve the environment. Like, we don't need large, exuberant, homes that take up enormous space and that we have to chop down forests for. Like, we should be able to, we used to live in caves, like literal caves. Doll said she had a dream the other night where I lived in a cave, and it was a man cave, like a literal man cave where no girls were allowed, and I apparently kicked her out. But we came from caves, so it's like we don't need a whole lot, you know what I mean? We just need a roof over our heads. So I don't know. On one hand, yeah, I guess sacrifices could be made, but it's just super vague. I don't know. Sacrifices to living standards should be made if they are necessary to preserve the environment. Okay, necessary, sure, agree. Why not? Faith schools indoctrinate children and should be restricted or banned. Faith schools indoctrinate children and should be restricted or banned. Well, I don't like the idea of the government restricting or banning religious institutions, even though I do agree. I agree with this first part, but I don't think they should be restricted or banned. So I'm going to disagree. My nation's political system is dysfunctional and must be reformed. Agree. I think the system is cool on paper. I like the system on paper. It's just I don't like how the game is played. It is a rigged playing field, and it's not rigged in the sense where, you know, votes get changed or anything like that. It's just rigged in the options that were given. It's like Shu was saying earlier, you know, we get the choice between pee-pee or poo-poo, but in either case we end up getting diarrhea. And like that's how it's rigged. It's rigged to give us diarrhea every time. So it just needs to be not rigged to give us diarrhea. We need more options that aren't pee pee or poo poo. You know, we could have some. I don't know, man. I don't have the brain power to give examples right now. You know what I mean. My nation should topple foreign governments which do not follow my nation's principles. Strongly disagree. Get the fuck out of here. We were just talking about non-intervention. All taxes should be abolished. I am so torn between agree and strongly disagree. I'm gonna go with agree, only because I do think there should be, like, if you make just a stupid amount of money, like, yeah, you absolutely should contribute, you know, more than the people who don't make stupid amounts of money. But then again, that also implies that a system of taxation is in place to begin with. All taxes should be, I'm gonna agree with that. Cannabis should be decriminalized. Strongly agree. It is never acceptable for never acceptable for protesters to break the law. Never acceptable for protesters to break the law. It is never acceptable for protesters to break the law. I'm gonna say agree. Politicians generally serve my interests. Strongly disagree with that. The wealthy should be taxed, all of their income in excess of an upper limit. Okay, see, I guess this is what I was getting at. The wealthy should be taxed, all of their income in excess of an upper limit. But again, this is super vague. Define the wealthy and define this upper limit. I need raw numbers before I can give you a strong opinion on this. I'm going to say not sure. Foreign-born migrants should not have the right to vote. Foreign-born migrants should not have the right to vote. No. If they're US citizens, they should absolutely have the right to vote. Foreign-born migrants should not have the right to vote. No, disagree. The rich are too highly taxed. I have a controversial take on this. So check this out. The rich, the mega wealthy, they're actually taxed a lot. Their tax bracket is insane. Like they they really pay like, I think over 50% of their income. It's a stupid high tax bracket. You know, so when people say tax the rich, it's like, well, they do get taxed. They get taxed for stupid sums of money. The problem is they wrap up their wealth in corporations, which when you own a corporation, you get a huge reduction on your tax rate. If you move your money through a corporation, your tax rate, instead of like the 50% you would be paying like out of pocket if it was just you as an individual, through that corporation you pay like 6 or 7% as your tax rate. It's stupid low, and this is the loophole that the wealthy use to get wealthier. Tax loopholes, like, and this is my take, is that the rich are taxed too highly, and that's why they exploit the tax loopholes, because nobody wants to pay that much money in taxes. So if they weren't taxed so much, I don't think they would be as incentivized to abuse those tax loopholes. Like, does that make sense? So yes, I do think they are taxed too highly, but like, I still think they should be taxed more than everybody else, obviously, right? They're making stupid sums of money. But I have a nuanced take on this. So I'm going to actually say agree. That might be an interesting one. Atheism should be enforced by the state. Strongly disagree. A carbon tax should be implemented to encourage the free market to minimize greenhouse emissions. Carbon tax should be implemented to encourage free market to minimize greenhouse emissions. You know what? We've tried this. See, the problem isn't taxation. The problem is government spending. When the government spends too much money, that's when they start implementing more taxes. Like here in my state, our governor, I think this morning actually, he just passed a bill. It's some taxation bill. I need to look into it again, but they just pass more and more of these bills because the government has a spending problem. You know, the money's there, they'd be spending it on stupid bullshit, and they run out super quickly. So then they have to pass another tax law. It's like, oh, you know, we're at a deficit. We need to pass, you know, we need more taxes. So we're gonna have a carpool tax or whatever the fuck. So I'm gonna disagree with this. A carbon tax should be implemented to encourage free market to minimize greenhouse emissions. In fact, I'm gonna strongly disagree with it. Get your bullshit out of here. Intellectual property is a legal fiction created by the state and should be abolished. Strongly, as an artist, I strongly fucking disagree with that. Pardon, I beg your fucking pardon. New technologies should be regulated to prevent the automation of jobs and minimize unemployment. Ooh, that's a tricky one. New technologies should be regulated to prevent the automation of jobs and minimize unemployment. I'm neutral. The only society responsible of a company should be... Wow, I can't read tonight. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders? No, strongly disagree. The entire point of a company's existence is to solve a problem that exists in somebody's life. It is to provide a good or a service that makes somebody's life easier. You should not be the first thought should not be profit to shareholders. Absolutely not. Yo, tell me why this is just perfect and nice. Question number 69 is the government is trustworthy. Strongly disagree. Strongly disagree. The public should the public should directly vote on important policy decisions rather than relying on representatives. Yes, strongly agree. Absolutely. Voting is pointless. See. I was about to say strongly disagree because this is the optimistic idealist in me. but the system is rigged in favors of the powers that be. So voting is point. You know what? You know what? I actually disagree with this. The last two elections, especially this most recent one, presidential elections, I mean, kind of showed me that voting does actually work. Religious traditions hinder technological and social progress. Religious traditions hinder technological and social progress. That's too vague because some religious traditions, sure. Other religious traditions, not so much. So, neutral. Hey, what up, Two-Tailed? I love you, baby. I support lowering the legal voting age. Strongly disagree. No, dude. We need to raise the voting age. Voting should be mandatory. I strongly disagree with that. Gun to my head, you're gonna make me vote between poo-poo and pee-pee? No thanks. Because I would just vote for the person that you hate just to spite you. Like, the nation should not be dependent on another nation, on other nations for resources. My nation should not be dependent on other nations for resources. I disagree with that. That's a silly concept. Nations are not created equal. Nation A has really good bananas. Nation B has really good apples. If Nation A wants good apples, they're going to trade their good bananas for their good apples, and both nations are happy. It doesn't necessarily mean they're dependent. It's that they've got something that the other wants. So I'm going to disagree with that. No, I'm in favor of fair and open trade. Why not? Let's do it. International connectivity facilitated by modern technology is ultimately beneficial for mankind. International connectivity facilitated by modern technology is ultimately beneficial for mankind. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Actually, yeah, strongly agree. That's literally what the internet is. A region in which secession has democratic support should be recognized as an independent nation. A region in which secession has democratic support should be recognized as an independent nation. Ooh, this is an interesting one. One I haven't really thought too much about, although there have been examples of this in recent memory. Or not so much recent memory, like recent history, I guess. Yeah, I think I, for the most part, agree with this. The complicated part comes in when they want to establish the borders, because obviously the nation that they're seceding from is not going to want to give up the land, right? So they're gonna fight tooth and nail to keep that land. But if they have if they have the democratic support of the people, yeah, I think on the whole I would agree with this. We should prioritize. Wow, this cough is bad. We should prioritize the protection of our own planet before we explore others. I agree. I actually agree with that. I don't think we should halt space exploration, but we should definitely put a lot of focus in protecting our own planet. Yeah, we've only got this one Earth, and we got to take care of it. People are ultimately more divided by class than nationality. Strongly agree. A society cannot derive a moral sense of right or wrong without religious values. A society cannot derive a moral sense of right or wrong without religious values. I strongly disagree with that. A society cannot derive a moral sense of right or wrong without religious values. Yeah, strongly disagree. Those with the ability to pay should have the option to receive better health care or education. Sure. Yeah, I mean, education, I guess I haven't put too much thought into. I have gripes with the public education system. When it comes to healthcare, though, I do believe healthcare should be, something that you should shop around for, like the same as you would shop around for like your new phone. It's like, do you want, like, perfect example right here. Like, I've literally got my Android and I've got my iPhone. It's like, which one do you want to use? Which one do you think is better? And you have the option to shop around for both. That's how I see healthcare. Like, I think it should be the same. So I've on the whole, I feel like, again, I don't know how it really works for education too much, but for healthcare, I'll agree. I have problems with the public education system. Coming from it and my own experiences, I feel like it set me up for failure. But that could just be me being cynical. Criminals should not have the right to vote. Disagree. There should be no minimum wage, as employers know best what a worker's labor is worth. Strongly disagree. Employers will suck every ounce of work they can out of you for minimal pay. No. There absolutely has to be a minimum standard. My country should open its borders to countries with similar cultures, governments, and judicial systems. Open its borders to countries with similar cultures, governments, and judicial systems. Yeah, sure. Strongly agree. Foreign-born migrants should be required to learn our language. I actually strongly agree with this. And it's because I look at it from the opposite perspective. If I were to move to a foreign nation, I feel like the people of that nation would expect me to take that upon myself to learn their native tongue. And I feel like that's fair for us to expect the same from other foreign-born migrants who are coming here. So yeah, I would actually strongly agree with that. With a lot of instances of like immigration and stuff, you can kind of recontextualize it and just kind of like flip the roles and see if it still makes sense, or if it didn't make sense before, like flip the roles and see if it kind of like gives you a different look at things. It's just it's fascinating. I would rather be ruled by a dictator I agree with than an elected leader I disagree with. Strongly disagree. No. We don't like dictators around here. Universal services or incomes are desirable ways to distribute the production of an automated workforce. Universal services or incomes are desirable ways to distribute the production of an automated workforce. When Andrew Yang was running for president, I think it was either in 2016 or 2020. I can't remember which. The Yang Gang. He was the first politician that introduced me, at least, to the idea of a universal basic income, where basically the government just gives the population like a monthly check for like $1,000 or whatever the monthly income is, right? And it's just sort of like a jump start, just to be like, hey, here's your, here's some cash, get some groceries, pay some bills, whatever you got to do. And it's just like, it's not a bad idea on paper. And I don't know where it would come from, like whether it comes from like tax dollars or like, what, but that's not a terrible idea. Just again, from my perspective, everything the government touches turns to shit. So if the government's going to be in charge of it, my mentality is already pretty cynical. I already think it's going to fail. Are a desirable way to distribute the production of an automated workforce. I'm going to say neutral on that, because I interpret this to mean that it's going to be controlled by the government, which, sounds good on paper, but in practice it usually goes wrong. Abortion should be recommended during pregnancies in which genetic illnesses are identified. Abortion should be recommended during pregnancies in which genetic illnesses are identified. Should be recommended? I disagree with that. My country's culture is superior to other cultures. Strongly agree. Governments should not favor or discriminate against any particular region. Let me clarify. My country's culture is not superior to all other cultures, but to other cultures that exist out there, yes, strongly agree. Governments should not favor or discriminate against any particular religion. Should not favor or discriminate against any particular religion. Strongly agree. Elections should be publicly funded to reduce the influence of private money in political campaigns. Strongly agree. Economic regulations should be tightened to more effectively prevent the emergence of monopolies. I'm torn between neutral and disagree. Flip a coin, disagree. Stereotypical gender roles are justified because they exist due to biological differences. Strongly agree. Nuclear energy production should be phased out due to environmental or health risks. Strongly disagree. Nuclear energy is some of the safest, cleanest energy that exists out there. The collection and use of personal data for advertising is advantageous for consumers. The collection and use of personal data for advertising is advantageous for consumers. Strongly disagree. Get the fuck out of here. It is beneficial for human labor to be made redundant through technological automation. It's beneficial for human labor to be made redundant through technological automation. That's fascinating, because humans need a purpose. A human being without a purpose is a shell of a person. Although we do want to strive to make our lives as enjoyable as possible, and that is usually done through technological automation. And I would say, yes, that is beneficial for us. I think we still need human labor. It's beneficial for human labor to be made redundant. That's strong language. No, I'm gonna disagree with that. Not redundant. My country's values and culture were better in the past than they are now. I actually agree with this, but when I say I agree with it, like I'm talking about 2008. Nah, I'm gonna say like 2006 to 2011 was peak United States. Like that was the time to be alive. So I'm gonna say I agree. People should not worry about government surveillance If they have nothing to hide, oh my god, what in the Orwell? People should not worry about government surveillance if they have nothing to hide. Strongly disagree. Get the fuck out of here. No, I don't need no Illuminati Big Brother bullshit. Radical ideas can be dangerous, so it is best to change society incrementally. Radical ideas can be dangerous, so it's best to change society incrementally. I'm neutral on that. They can be dangerous, but that doesn't necessarily mean we should avoid them. Sometimes a society needs a big change. I'm gonna say neutral. Yeah, neutral. All right, last question. 100 out of 100. The state should subsidize private companies that invest heavily in scientific or technological research. The state should subsidize private companies that invest heavily in scientific or technological research. Again, you got me hung up on with this word here, the state. The state holds its population at gunpoint, robs its population at gunpoint, and calls it taxation. Yeah, I don't like the state. Subsidize private companies that invest heavily in scientific or technological research. I'm gonna say agree. Why not? Fuck it. Optional survey data. How did you find this app? Referral. Party. I don't really have a party. I don't subscribe to a political party. I'm gonna say I do not vote, which is true. Identities. Classical liberal. I've always identified as a classical liberal. That's my shit right there. All right, these questions are optional. You can skip everything here and still view your results. They help improve comparison in the Data Explorer, but they do not affect the test results. Okay. Cool. Let's look at, oh shit. Age, ya boy is ancient at this point. I live in USA. Education. I never finished college. Ethnicity. This one's always interesting. Arab, Middle Eastern. I'm technically mixed. Religion. Atheist. By continuing. I am human. What a weird test. I'm not a bot. All right, let's see where I'm at. Interesting. So I'm 81% libertarian. That doesn't surprise me too much. 79% decentralist. 74% average result, 70% centrist, 70% moderate, 68% populist. That's actually interesting. I would have thought that this would be higher. 67% neoliberal, 66% liberal. Fuck. I'm a libtard, chat. Wow, this one is the most fascinating to me. This one is secularism versus theocracy. That's a lot closer to the center than I would have thought. I thought I would have been a lot closer to the far side of secularism here. But I'm basically smack dab in the middle between transhumanism and primitivism. This one is fascinating just because, like, I'm an atheist. Like, I don't believe, but I am so in favor of religious freedom. So that, like, it's just putting me right in the middle. That's so interesting. So I'm a little more progressive than I am conservative. And I'm more radical than I am moderate. Interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely more about democracy than I am autocracy. Absolutely. Cosmopolitanism is greater than my nationalism. Interesting. And smack dab in the middle of socialism and capitalism. That's fascinating to me. I thought I would have leaned more towards capitalism, but this makes total sense. Yeah, I'm so pro liberty. Like, this checks out 100%. I thought I would have been more towards like liberty and capitalism. I think it's because I was so neutral on a lot of those questions. If I had answered more extreme on some of those, I think it would be different. Yeah, this checks out though. 81% libertarian. No, I haven't logged into Rivals yet, Two-Tailed. I was gonna play a few rounds with Doll. I will see it there though. Tell you what, I'll log in. I'll log in before I end this stream and I'll check out what that gift is. Yeah, very balanced, you see. Nice. Yeah, a little bit more balanced than I actually would have expected. I guess I did say at the beginning that I was going to be the king fence sitter just because of all the neutrals and unsures. Yeah, let me save this. Alright, cool. I'm actually going to copy the link to this, to the results. Where's my notes? Give me give me 2 seconds. I'm just copy pasting this link. There we go. Okay. I'm slightly leaning socialist, am I? Where's that at? Oh yeah. That's really fascinating to me actually. I am not in favor of socialism as the governing economic system. I am way more in favor of capitalism, so I have no idea where this is coming from. Yeah, this one's really shocking. This one, not so much. I'm very pro-liberty. That makes sense. But I feel like this dot should be more over here. I don't know what this is about. I'm gonna have to retake this test, I think. I'll take it a few times and just really hone in on the results. Yeah, this checks out though. I'm definitely more progressive than I am conservative. I do hold some conservative beliefs though, so it's close to the middle, you know. Yep, I'm pro-democracy. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting test. Alright, let's watch this Warren Smith video. This is going to be the last one for the stream, and then after that I'll open up Rivals and check out your gift, bro. I don't have a scene for video games on this this channel. I'd have to make that, and that would just take some time. So I'm just gonna pull my ugly mug up on the screen, and you're gonna get my raw reaction to the gift.
J.K. Rowling? So what's going on with that? What do you want to know?
She's had a pretty controversial past. I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts on it? Like, do you still like her work despite her bigoted opinions?
So let's get specific, though. Let's define bigoted opinions. What opinions are bigoted? We're going to treat this as a thought experiment. I'm not going to say what's right or wrong or what way to think. The whole point is to learn how to think, not what to think.
Yeah.
So when you say bigot, you're starting with the conclusion that, given her bigoted opinions.
Yeah.
So first, let's start with, does she have bigoted opinions? So when you say bigoted opinions,
She has had a history of being extremely transphobic, I've heard.
Hey, you've heard. So what? Can you give me an example?
If you look at her Twitter, I think you could see a few things. If you want, I could try and find
see
something.
See if you can find one.
So, one of these.
What a cool teacher, by the way, letting his student whip out a phone and browse Twitter to find some tweets.
Tweets that she came up with in 2019. She said, "Dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real."
So you find that bigoted? What do you find about
it was deemed transphobic. Like, I myself.
Do you find that transphobic yourself?
I don't really have an opinion on it, but I'm just going with what a lot of other people have said.
So let's pause there. Let's not go with what other people are saying. Let's try and learn how to critically think. So let's analyze.
This is why this guy got fired, by the way.
The tweet ourselves. So that statement, do you see anything problematic? Disregarding other people's opinions.
She did try and pin some things on a specific group of people.
Where does she do that? Can you read that?
But force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real.
So when I hear that, I'm interpreting that as meaning, if a woman says that, saying that there's a difference between men and female, and then being attacked as transphobic, I think that's what she's saying by attacking someone for stating that sex is real.
That is exactly what she's saying.
Is that transphobic to you?
So, to me, no. Stating that sex is real is not transphobic. It's just a fact of life. It exists.
So is there anything you disagree with in that tweet?
In that tweet, I can't really see anything that I myself disagree with, but I can see why some people would think, oh, this is offensive. We can't have that here or something, because...
Sure.
There's an apology tweet.
Let's read that. What did she say there? I haven't read that.
I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it is hateful to say so.
Do you see anything problematic there?
She's apologizing, so no, not really. If I could read it again.
It sounds like a very similar statement as what she was just saying. She's basically saying, like, I have nothing, to me, this is what I interpret it as, I have nothing against someone being trans.
Exactly.
This, by the way, for more context, this was when J.K. Rowling, originally got canceled for her allegedly transphobic tweets, and they're going through, a lot of these tweets that they're talking about right now are some of those original tweets that got her in hot water several years ago. Just some added context about what they're talking about if you're totally lost on this.
Your life, but you just don't get to impose on you can live how you want, I can live how I want.
Yeah.
And let's all,
He's doing his job perfectly as he should be, and he got fired. Yeah. He talks about it in a separate video where he just highlights like what the school, like they sent him some letters and basically saying, hey, we got to let you go. Here's a severance package. And it's like, come on. And I think the reason was the subject matter at hand. It was, you know, it's problematic, it's controversial, and yada yada. Basically what we're doing here.
That's it. So I guess now that we're looking at it like, oh, there's not much difference between me or her. Do you think it's fair that that she's being attacked by a large group of people and people are calling her, like you said at the beginning of this conversation, you said, given the fact that J.K. Rowling is transphobic, how do you feel about Harry Potter? Now, retroactively looking at that statement, do you think that was the best way to phrase?
No, I feel like an idiot now.
It's okay though, but this is why we do this, to learn how to think.
There's been like a
Baby girl, are you still in the chat? I'm gonna end this stream. This was fun. Yeah, thank you for making me do that test. That was very fascinating. I'm probably gonna take it a couple times now just to see. All right, let me do some FaceTime here. I'm going to, where's my controller? I'm gonna pull up Rivals. Cause Two-Tailed got me a skin. And I need to see if baby girl is still awake. Cause I wanted to play some Rivals with her. But yeah, he did his job perfectly well, and he got fired for it. It sucks. But it launched his YouTube career, and to be honest with you, he's probably making more money now than he ever was as a teacher. So, who's really winning? Rivals. Here we go. He seemed like he enjoyed his job, though. It sucks. It's not the first story I've heard recently of teachers losing their jobs. There was Dr. Jordan Peterson. I don't know if he necessarily... Did he get let go? I actually don't know now. I need to double check that. But there was the Weinstein... not Harvey Weinstein, but I think the guy's name was Brett. Brett Weinstein. He was actually a professor out here. In my state, I think, at Evergreen College. And I think he got let go for a similar reason. A new gift received. Okay, what is this? Let's see. It's wrapped up in like a little Saturn-shaped ball with Galacta's hat on it and with a bow. Alright, let's, what do we get? What do we get? The White Fox Yoonji Woo, the Leader Bundle. Hey. Cool. It was once one of the most treasured artifacts in Odin's archive. And now it finally belongs to you. Dude, thank you. Much appreciated, Two-Tailed. I don't know if he's still in here, but that's dope. Yeah, I'm planning on playing this character, so this is perfect. Thank you, man. I accept it. It's the full bundle too. It's the skin, the emote, and everything. Equip. We'll equip this MVP. Cool. White Fox, your love. Yes. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Thank you, Two-Tailed. I don't think he's in here, but if he watches this back, much appreciated, man. All right, I need to forget Luna White Fox with that suit on. Honestly though, that suit is it's a really fresh look. That is nice, yeah. I always like that classy dress up look, so that's fine by me. With the vest and everything, yeah, that's clean. Very, very clean skin. All right, I'm gonna end this stream, chat. Thanks for hanging out, Fox. You were here the whole time, I think. I need to get some water. I'm thirsty. Shit, this was fun. I think I'm gonna have to do a Libservative stream every weekend now. We'll just do a recap of everything that went down during that week. Yeah. All right, you guys have a good night. Yep. Take care. Peace.